Picture this. You're doing nothing, but you're on Discord with the fellas. It's 7 PM, you can't decide what to play or what to do, but then that motivation to get through that one game on your backlog arises, and after setting it up, you finally launch the game, and boom. This looks like a good lobby for insert game here. Nonetheless, you cancel your plans, as it's time for either one of the most cinematic and high-octane gaming experiences you've ever had, or some randomly selected Roblox game. Or both. 4-player co-op games tend to be gameplay first, and usually have less focus on the narrative, so they tend to be overlooked in ratings and award shows. Therefore, it's important to highlight some of the greatest video games within the genre to prove that cooperation in a video game is a form of expression that can transcend the medium. So naturally, we start with... What? We bought it like 5 minutes ago. We bought it like 5 minutes ago.
We got Skibidi Backrooms right before the sale ended.
Literally. Oh, dude, yeah, it ended at 5.
Oh my god!
Oh my god.
You're telling me if you called me 3 minutes...
It's £1.69, mate. Fucking cough it up.
Guys,
Wow.
I think Modern Warfare 3 is not going to do very well this year because Skibidi Backrooms was on sale. I don't know, just an inkling.
You have got to be rizzing me. You must be from Ohio if you don't think this game is peak. You play as the Sigma cameraman as you traverse the sussy backrooms. But be warned, you're going to get hunted down faster than Baby Gronk can rizz up Lizzie Dunn, so solve the epic puzzles and cross the level 5 alpha tape-pilled obstacles to make it to the next level before you get phantom taxed. Skibidi Backrooms, to me, represents the culmination of video games as an art form. Such a laugh.
What's up, guys? Didn't expect everyone to be here.
Hello.
What's up, bro? We're playing Skibidi Backrooms.
Salam alaikum, my friend.
Jeepers.
Where the hell is that?
Can someone
Don't tell
someone
me it's in-
stream for
Can I
X-Lay?
get an invite, please? Skibidi Backrooms.
Walking forwards in a big empty room in what is probably an asset flipped game with many Trojans attached. 0.5 out of 5. Phasmophobia is one of those games that has become oddly nostalgic in a way that's unique to playing with mostly a group on Discord during Cockpit 19. You know, your Party Animals demo, your Among Us types, etc, etc. The nicest thing I can say about this game is that it's the video game equivalent of a daytime ghost hunting TV show. You know, the type that's trying to be serious but is unintentionally hilarious because of that.
What state do you live in? What state are we in right now?
Was this spirit being a smartass?
You take your team and your gear into a bunch of locations, mostly the type of suburban American housing you'd see in the background of Malcolm in the Middle, but there are some cooler varied locations like the prison or the school. Unfortunately, whilst the larger maps have better settings and eerier atmospheres, there's a lot more empty space and waiting around, whereas in the smaller house maps, the action is much more condensed. Think about this comparatively to the empty, boring worlds of Starfield versus the vibrant, lively city of Kamurocho in the Yakuza games. A lot smaller, but way more stuff to do. And by stuff to do, I mean to fuck around with all the furniture in the house. You then use your tools, gadgets, and gizmos to identify the characteristics of the ghost haunting that location. You walk into a room and see the temperature drop to freezing? Cross that one off the list. You set a camera up and back out the van, you spot orbs emanating through the footage. Cross that one off as well. After you've gone through everything, you then select the 3 characteristics you think you've found to either narrow down the category of ghost down to the right answer, or the 3 characteristics you've then picked are wrong. Nothing gets suggested and you have to wait like 20 minutes figuring out what went wrong before just guessing anyway. During your investigation, the ghost in question will mess with the environment and occasionally hunt down some of the players. Some ghosts are more aggressive than others, which can act as a hint to see if you're guessing correctly along the right lines. This sort of ghost busting activity is fun, but only for a certain amount of time before the game quickly becomes repetitive and in turn, quite boring. Over the years, there have been updates to improve the variety of the game, like new maps and new ways to interact with the environment, but all this does is slightly widen the gap between launching the game and the inevitable feeling of just waiting for your friends to be bored with it, so you can go back to whatever you were doing beforehand. This same feeling can also be applied to the horror aspect of the game. You'll probably jump the first time you get attacked by a ghost, but to my knowledge, there's only one type of animation for this, so the second and any other time you see those hands reaching out from behind you and grabbing your face, the horror is completely lost, and it turns into this dreary, oh, well, I guess I'm spectating now. Overall, this sort of tedious to repeat, kind of bland gameplay will get a kind of bland score as well. 2.5 out of 5. Now, shucks, if only there was some similar sort of game that takes the format of Phasmophobia, but changes the setting and improves it into something so much better. Now that would be nice.
The company is hired. You'll have your very own ship, your very own crew. Your job? Collect worthless garbage to return to the company desk. It's easy.
Ooh, it is very nice to see a fresh new indie game made by one person completely blow these big AAA releases out of the water. Call of Duty, more like Call of Duty, got 'em. Lethal Company is the big new trend game, however, unlike most of the others, I can actually see why this time. The gameplay loop is simple but extremely effective. Land the ship on a planet, go into the building, grab the floor loot, bring it back on the ship and sell all the loot to meet the quota, all whilst avoiding the enemies that spawn indoors during the day and outdoors during the night. There are occasionally events where a planet is foggy or stormy or eclipsed, which alters the behaviours of the enemies and allows them to spawn outside during the day, for example, which is fun. Especially fun if you enjoy watching all 7 other members of your team immediately die upon landing.
Guys, you already a dog on the fucking stairs.
There are dogs over there! Hello dogs, hello, come here! I really wait. Oh, good. Oh no! Look, Josh is still there. Oh, Josh! Look at where Josh is there.
He's gonna get killed. He's gonna walk into
it. Absolutely. Oh, the present that Mason just opened just got a coil head.
You're joking.
This is a catastrophe. Oh wow. What else is getting him, or is that just the coil head? So we only lost all of our scrap, that's fine. What makes Lethal Company a more fun experience than Phasmophobia is the randomness of the procedurally generated levels and enemy placements. It keeps things fresh and full of anticipation. Phasmophobia, on the other hand, fails in this regard, as the levels are the same every time, so you quickly fall into this routine of putting the same equipment in the same place, which therefore leads to the previously mentioned issue of boredom. While the objective is to secure the highest value of loot, the game is without a doubt at its best when exactly the opposite is happening. It's at its most fun and its funniest when either people are fucking things up on purpose, or, regardless of intentions, everything gets catastrophically fucked up at once. From a game design perspective, it would be nice to see some form of permanent progression. Once you lose, everything you've worked for is gone. However, those exact moments derived from the lack of progression lead to this feeling of wanting to fuck things up, because you're just going to be doing the same thing regardless of how many days into the cycle you are. Might as well have fun at the start rather than be bogged down with a higher quota later in the game, which unironically creates the fantastic anti-capitalist commentary, you know, alongside the whole for the company working for creatures that will eat you and launch you into space thing. So thinking about it, it might actually be better to not include any permanent progression in a future update. These moments are funnier because you lose everything. And because of these moments, The game is an absolute clip farm. Whilst yes, the fun is user created and it depends completely on the people that you play with and the actions that they perform, it can't be a coincidence that you get a huge number of clips per game. Whilst the procedurally generated levels may help with that, I think the enemy AI and the enemy's behaviours are probably the biggest culprit for this. Yet again, another evolution of the Phasmophobia format, because wasn't Phasmophobia all of the ghosts want to kill you? In Lethal Company, some of the creatures are passive, some only aggro dependent on loot. Some react to the movement and sightlines of the player. It's this level of depth in enemy design that leads to the hundreds of trending clips where people die to the Bracken, or the eyeless dog and so forth. Speaking of, I have so many clips from playing Lethal Company off stream and so little hard drive space to contain them. Expect a couple of Peter playing Black Ops 2 funny moments in the future. So all in all, it's undeniably a fantastic start to the game. With some updates and how quickly the modding scene is already and continues to progress so quickly, this game will probably be remembered as one of the classics. Gen Alpha will probably think of this in the way that most of us see like Minecraft or Club Penguin, which is kind of scary, but then there are also way worse games to have grown up with. So, taking into account the brilliant gameplay loop and excellent foundations, but then also taking into consideration the fact that most of the fun depends on the people you play with, the proximity chat continues to be a cheat code for making a game way more fun than it would be without it, and the fact that a lot of the experience can be credited to the large amount of mods adding stuff not available in the base game, like lobbies more than 4 people and the funny Fortnite dances. All in all, Lethal Company gets a very respectable 4 out of 5. Oh, and also the game kind of looks like shit, but I guess that's the point, so whatever, you get used to it. And this may be one of those games that change a lot over time, so I may need to go back at some point in the future and reevaluate the score. Similarly, games I plan to review that continue to adapt and evolve, making it tricky to pin down a review score at that moment, include stuff like Genshin Impact and Fortnite, both of which add major new map changes every major update. So it would be nice just to review a set-in-stone classic.
Report unusual behavior. Barricade your homes. Avoid all contact with infected individuals. Wait for official instructions. Wait my ass.
Kill all sons of bitches. That's my official instructions.
Banger alert. Banger alert. The era that Valve released Left 4 Dead 2 alongside Half-Life 2, TF2, Portal 1 and 2, and the first Left 4 Dead is comparable to Kanye's album run of Graduation, 808s, MBGTF, Yeezus, The Life of Pablo, and Ye. Nothing but fucking bangers there. Before I even begin to talk about what the game has to offer, when you open it for the first time on Steam, you get the absolute privilege to witness one of the best video game openings of all time. Word for word ingrained into my head, and I don't mind that at all.
Who the hell puts an evac station up 30 flights of goddamn stairs?
Come on, Coach. Maybe the helicopter. Maybe it's made of chocolate.
The game and its story is split into 6 campaigns, and extra non-canon DLCs are thrown in there as well. Each campaign is split into 3 to 5 acts, creating this movie-type aesthetic throughout the game that matches with the music and the credits. All of the maps are so fucking good, man. You start in probably my personal favourite campaign, Dead Center, where the gang misses the last evacuation helicopter. So not only have they been abandoned, but they've been left for dead, too.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
This campaign takes you through a burning hotel, through the infected city and towards this finale, a Horde rush aptly named a crescendo event, in this massive shopping mall, where they smash their way to freedom using a race car that's on display. It's fun, it's exciting, there's teamwork involved in the organisation of the fuel cans, it's co-op gameplay at its peak. You then begin the second campaign, which to my knowledge is the only originally DLC campaign that is absolutely canon. The gang encounter the survivors from the original Left 4 Dead at the end of their journey, as the original survivors assist in continuing the gang's escape through a raised bridge. Seeing the AI of Zoe from the first game sniping down from an unreachable window, it's just peak, man. Then, past the blocked bridge, the freeway is blocked as well, and the gang make their way through a highway of zombies towards the Whispering Oaks amusement park, where you'll fight your way through amusement stands, a tunnel of love and roller coasters before the big finale inside a stadium, signaling a helicopter with a massive rock concert and fighting off the zombies that are attracted by it. Yeah, I think I changed my mind from before. This campaign is probably my favourite, with Dead Center just slightly trailing behind. The level theme and its design is just immaculate. The way that the level incorporates all of the aspects of the amusement park in the level, like when you get to the shooting game, you can win a prize of a gnome, which takes away your ability to shoot, but you can still whack fuckers with the melee, so it's not that bad. Take that gnome to the end of the campaign itself, and you have yourself a 6 Steam achievement. Fuck yeah. All of that, finishing with this big musical number with a massive light show? It's peak, I'm afraid. The fact that even the band whose music plays during this segment, the Midnight Riders, are also referred to in other Valve games such as the music kit in CSGO is also peak, methinks. The helicopter you escaped from the carnival in crashes because of course it fucking does, and the gang is forced to wade through the icky, sticky, gooey, ooey swamps of Mississippi, through a dank shanty town, a crashed airplane, and hold out at this abandoned plantation house in the typical crescendo event survival rushdown, with machine gun turrets for defense, until you're rescued by boats. Yeah, I'm thinking it's peak. The boat then runs out of fuel, so the gang is now tasked with crossing through the suburban streets of New Orleans and through a sugar mill to reach a gas station to refuel. But the unique thing about this campaign is that at this point, the gang must work their way back through the sugar mill and reach the town and their escape, all while the area has been flooded by an ongoing storm, ending with a signalling of the boat and the typical survival crescendo event before the storm can properly reach them. Playing through this level for the first time, you're probably confused due to the overabundance of healing and loot at the start of the level. This can lead to players getting careless and using a lot of it at the start. But at that halfway point, you notice your mistake when you realise not only you have to make your way back, but hold out at the finale, meaning the less that you use at the start, the more prepared you are for the end. This type of level design? I mean, they managed to make fucking backtracking fun. Get this man a peak. And then the grand finale when the gang makes their way through the French Quarter of New Orleans, through parks and cemeteries, through an abandoned military zone, and culminating at a bridge. Just like the end of the first Left 4 Dead team's adventure. And the end of PewDiePie's adventure. Poetic. The team crosses it, the bridge fucking explodes, just like PewDiePie's career for, about a week. And then they ride off into the sunset, rescued by military helicopter, and taken to the last bastion of humanity in a big boat, I think they clarified in a random interview. But all of this, you know what I'm about to say. Peak. You know, the game overall is less on the horror side. It definitely has its moments, but overall it leans way more into action. It's very similar to Resident Evil 4 in that regard. All the guns are simple, but that's why they're so good. There's enough variety to cover a lot of different weapon types, but very little overlap with the guns, making each one unique and catering to different playstyles.
Feliz hasta la muerte, sigue así hasta que acabe. El más allá que soñé no está nada mal, me invadió el amor. Te amo y me desprecias, toma todo y solo búrlate, nena. Voy a luchar mi estrella, voy a luchar mi estrella, voy a luchar mi estrella. Siento que algo me falta.
You also have a slot for throwables, which are unique and extremely helpful little things, like Boomerbile, which can attract zombies to attack whatever you throw it on, and pipe bombs can attract all of the zombies to one location, rack up a huge amount of kills at once, clear a large amount of space, and I've put one in your mailbox. The last 2 slots in your inventory are for either a health pack or a reviving defibrillator in one slot, and pills or adrenaline in the last slot for some temporary buffs. The common infected zombies are just the right amount of squishy and satisfying to kill. The big horde rushes that occur randomly work extremely well because of this. There's also the special infected that all have unique strategies to take them out on weak spots that are implemented extremely effectively. Outside of the crescendo finales on some of the levels, special infected tend to have set spawn points alongside the levels which successfully create these tense action-filled set pieces, especially when you hear the roar of the tank and its unique music starts playing terrifying as it hunts your team down one by one. That tension being immediately then broken when you forget that you had the Gangnam Style tank music replacement mod on. Similarly, you then hear the wailing of the witch in the distance. It's make or break. Your team decides to sneak around it. However, someone gets too close and sets the witch off on them, immediately downing them, whilst they watch as the witch continues to rip into their flesh. This tension is also broken by the witch's alert music, which was replaced by your Gangnam Style witch music mod. You know, you should really replace that music mod that turns every song in the game into Gangnam Style. The reason why this mixture of common and special infected works so well as you make your way through these linear levels is something called the AI Director. This is a system built into the game that will cater the experience of the game to how well the player is doing. You're taking a lot of damage? Decrease the amount of common infected and spawn more health and ammo. Players are absolutely steaming ahead? Alter the spawns of the zombies and start spawning more special infected. This system even takes into account where your character is located in the level and what characters are near you to play certain cues like music and character dialogue. All of this is absolutely mental and well ahead of its time. Yeah, the concept of automatically scaling difficulty has existed before in older titles like the original Baldur's Gate, and the oldest example I could find is this arcade game called Berserk, made by Stern Electronics, released in 1980. But none of these did it to the extent that Left 4 Dead 2 managed to achieve. All of that, and Sony literally last month had the absolute gall to try and patent game difficulty adaptation in real time? Are they stupid? Have they tried applying for a patent for more than one PS5 exclusive? Ayo! Another quality zing from oscarus_. And then, other than the highlights of, well, the rest of the game, another area that Left 4 Dead 2 excels in are its characters. All four of the main characters are written very well and extremely funny. Add to that some excellent, natural, and now iconic voice acting, and in a game as over the top as a zombie shooter made by Valve, these characters feel real.
I ever tell you about the time Keith tried to deep fry a turkey? Third-degree burns over 90% of his body. Get him up! Get him up! Get him up!
The world building throughout the maps also adds to this. Everyone's seen the image of the graffiti saying, "The humans are the real monsters," with the graffiti underneath depicting him as the soy jag and telling him to low-tier god himself. Brilliant stuff. Outside of the main game, even the versus game mode is fantastic. One team survivors, one team special infected. It only works because it's balanced. Whilst the special infected have their own specific strength, they don't have guns and healing. Why don't other games have a versus game mode? I mean, maybe in games like Lethal Company it would be a bit too overpowered on the side of the monsters, but you might be able to make it work, and no matter how unbalanced it would still be fun as hell. And just like Lethal Company, you could mod Left 4 Dead 2 to absolute hell and back. It's really easy to do so through the Steam Workshop itself. However, unlike Lethal Company, I believe that Left 4 Dead 2 doesn't need mods at all. The base game is a complete experience, and 90% of the mods are purely cosmetic anyway, so they didn't change any gameplay. The other 10% are like new maps and campaigns to play through. My favourite from back in the day being the Helm's Deep Reborn survival map. But there are already enough maps in the game that downloading more is only really necessary if you play the ever-loving shit out of the rest of them. But that's enough yapping from me. I think I've covered everything I needed to anyway. You can tell the quality of these games from how much I've just autistically gushed about it. Excluding the obvious Game of the Year Skibidi Backrooms, Phasmophobia had 574 words in the script, Left 4 Dead 2 had 1,918. Therefore, it gets one of the easiest 5 out of 5 ratings I'll ever have to give. Can you believe, now of the 19 games I reviewed so far, this is only the third one to ever get a 5 out of 5. Well, I guess I'll have to wait for Skibidi Backrooms 2 to come out to increase that statistic. Wow. That was nice. This review managed to cover the whole shebang, the bad, the mid, the good, and the great. There are tons of other games I could have included here, like Deep Rock Galactic, and Left 4 Dead 2 and Lethal Company probably should have gotten their own videos, but the whole gradual increase in quality over the 4 games was a complete coincidence that I ended up liking, so all's well that ends well. Also, as a side note, these were supposed to be 4 horror games, but none of them are really scary, just the occasional panic-induced scream if you're a particularly jumpy person. The darkness in the games tends to bait people into thinking more is happening than it actually is. Apart from your walls. I'm in them. I'm in your walls. And just like I'm watching you from in your walls, thanks for watching this video. Consider liking the video and subscribing. Ponder liking and subscribing. Now, referring to question 4a, show how you would like and subscribe. You have 100 words and you must show you're working out. You can also find me on Twitch, Twitter, TikTok, Discord, and my house if you tried hard enough. Ta-ta!
We're at an impasse here. Maybe we could compromise.